Here's something interesting to think about. I just recently read about some consulting companies who had this or participated in this run where I'm not exactly sure what sort of a run it was. I think it was just a usual run where it was teams running against each other, and then each team consisted of 4 or 5 people, and they would take individual turns running at a fixed or during a fixed part of the course. And a lot of these people or a lot of these teams who participate are company teams. You know, maybe you work a job and there's a team that signs up for this competition, which is fine. However, some of these teams or some of these companies, especially the white collar consulting ones, dedicate a lot of time and effort to participating in this run or in these competitions, because I don't think that this run is the only one. I think there were multiple competitions. I think they even go into training camps, some sort of a training camp. And obviously they compete against each other. Each company has its rival, the neighboring or the I don't know, the neighboring company that participates for the same contracts as them, and who pretty much do a. I'm not going to disparage and say that they're doing a worthless, lousy job, because I don't really know, but I suspect that a lot of their jobs are tied into writing reports, analyzing performance, looking for red flags in a company, kind of reviewing and what's the word I'm looking for here? Auditing the company performance, etc., etc. All that horseshit, all that stuff that basically is a subject for discussion, depending on how you interpret the numbers, depending on how you analyze the numbers, depending on how you obtain the numbers. If a company does bad, if sales are low, then that doesn't necessarily mean that the product is shit or the service that the company delivers is shit. It could be that the customer base has switched, or it could be that there is another need that the customer base has, which it hasn't communicated to the company in question. My point is this: these reports that these so-called white collar consultants are writing are, well, I personally think they're full of horseshit. I personally think they're crap. And this is what AI can do. If you're working in such a job, and your job consists of writing these reports, seasoning the language with a lot of fancy and long and difficult words, and trying to sound intellectual when you're, I don't know, talking about your job, then I think you're in danger. And I think that AI is coming for your job faster than what you can possibly think, or faster than you can possibly imagine. Just think about this. If these companies because they make so much money now, do have the time and do allocate the time to focusing on some run and compete against each other. And I even heard a story that one team from one company protested the decision that their rivaling company won the competition. I mean, that's the level of scrutiny we're talking about. That's the level of commitment we're talking about. And also, that's the kind of commitment we're talking about. If I were them, I'd be terrified for AI. I'd do anything I could to teach myself how to use AI. How to use AI to master my job, to make my job or to execute my job better. That's what I would have done, because that's what's coming for them. Nobody bothers about these thick documents with piles of horse crap written and audited by some human who's flawed. when you can have a robot do it for, I don't know, a fraction of the costs in milliseconds. Think about it. And so the obvious end of today's sales and business rant is, if you're working in so-called white collar consulting, for lack of a better term, then teach yourself AI and know how to use it, and who knows, AI is coming for you. If you want to learn more about these kinds of things, get subscribed to my email list. The link to do so is in the episode description wherever you're watching or listening to this, and I'll see you there.